After what it seems like, it's been, what, a year? 2
Feels
years?
that way, yeah.
A few months, Boxing During Dinner back. Because you guys asked for it, because we were ready to give up on this.
We
weren't gonna give up on it. But you know, everybody asked me, David, why haven't you guys done Boxing During Dinner? I'm like, you know, real work got in the way, you know, one that pays the bills. But
so if you guys want to start mailing us checks every week, and then we'll do this for a living.
We'll do this every day. I promise you.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, so Boxing During Dinner back. You know, you guys would write to us when I saw some of you guys in Vegas asking, "Hey, what's up with the show?" And we're back, you know, to talk some boxing.
Thanks to Steve Flores and Danny Howard. I stay in touch with those guys on Facebook.
And Pierre Bernardo.
Yeah, with some great fashion and great food.
The Bermudez brothers.
Yeah, we keep in touch with all you guys. So thanks for sticking around and encouraging us.
And I think David's post on Saturday saying that we were going to be back this week got more replies than any post I've written in the last year. So that's great. But we'll get right to business because, you know, we got a lot to talk about. We got to cover... I hope, like 5 or 6 months. The last time we did the show, David, Manny Pacquiao was about to fight Brandon Rios. That's how long ago it was. And here was Manny Pacquiao on Saturday fighting Timothy Bradley. I'll be honest. I was picking Timothy Bradley. I thought Pacquiao was not going to beat him. I like the way Bradley looked against Juan Manuel Marquez. And for about 5 or 6 rounds, it looked like Bradley had a legitimate shot, was probably going to win, and then Manny Pacquiao just took over.
Yeah, I would like to take credit for having picked Manny Pacquiao. If you don't believe me, you can check our Facebook page. We both made those predictions. Look, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. I think the thing that was most overplayed during the entire build-up to this fight was that Pacquiao had somehow lost his killer instinct. Okay, let's say that he has 60 to 70% of what his killer instinct was, whatever the killer instinct means. He's still Manny Pacquiao. To me, he was still superior in hand speed, superior in footwork, and still an athlete that Timothy Bradley just is naturally not. Timothy Bradley is a freak in the sense that his physique is incredible, his work rate is incredible, he's actually probably the fighter with the most killer instinct in boxing. The problem is he just doesn't have the physical tools to kill, if you will. You're right, Timothy Bradley was boxing and keeping Pacquiao off balance at the beginning. That jab was really effective. He was working to the body, and I think that was the best work Bradley did all night.
The body work was impressive in the early rounds, and then he stopped doing it. He was headhunting. I mean, you would have thought Tim Bradley was a big puncher, and he's not. And he was just looking for one KO punch. Right. That's all he was looking for after about the 6th round. It
derailed the entire game plan. You know, it's not to say that had Bradley continued to fight that fight that he would have won, but the fight would have been a lot closer than it was. And yeah, there was a point where I thought Bradley, had he kept the tactics that he had with round 1 on for the rest of the fight, the way he fought discipline, like you said, against Juan Manuel Marquez, that was his fight to lose, and he gave the fight away by getting out of his game plan.
And you know, I'm not gonna go out on any limb. I mean, by any stretch of the imagination, and say Manny Pacquiao would be competitive with Floyd Mayweather Jr. He did prove that he still belongs in the top echelon of fighters. And you know, everybody goes to the go-to fight. I mean, that fight was cool to talk about a few years ago. Not anymore. I mean, I think both fighters have moved on.
I'm actually of the mindset, because of the Cold War and the fact that Pacquiao at best has what he even himself has said is 2 years left in the sport. You know, what we're going to see is him facing the winner of Marquez versus Alvarado, regardless of if we want anything else. And then that means, you know, Pacquiao has maybe one fight after that, or potentially 2. I don't think the Mayweather fight's going to happen. I don't think that he'll be fighting anybody who's not in Top Rank. I can see him fighting Mikey Garcia a year from now.
That's a
who
fight
moves up in weight. Or
maybe a Gamboa.
That was going to be the other one. That was a quote-unquote rumored opponent. I think that was just smoke screens, you know, at one point. But I mean, who knows?
It could happen at 140.
Right. Or a catch weight at like 142, or you know, something like that. Those things can happen, but I'd be blown away. I mean, Bob Arum has become increasingly senile, as far as I'm concerned, in any time that he's speaking in public. He's making all these claims about, the MGM is decorated with Mayweather paraphernalia. They're playing preference.
Like this one?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Ironic, Armando got this at the MGM Grand ahead of the Pacquiao fight, of course.
No, I wasn't there. I actually got this
right.
via mail.
Through the mail.
It came UPS.
But he forgets, that he blew off the MGM Grand to take Pacquiao to China, to take Pacquiao to Cowboy Stadium. So he has no desire. I think he hates Mayweather more than Mayweather hates him at this point.
I mean, I just think it's an unfortunate, I guess, occurrence that's happening in boxing with the Cold War. I mean, not even in the days of Don King. I mean, did this happen? Yeah, there was there was no love lost between King and Aaron, but they stepped up, they worked together, and one thing that they were talking about, this card on Saturday, and it's not to say that the card was bad. Almost like 98% of pay-per-view cards are, for the most part, lackluster compared. I showed somebody the other day the fight card the day that I think it was Tyson Ruddock won, and Roberto Duran was on the card. Julio Cesar Chavez was on the card. Simon Brown was on the card. I mean, it was a who's who of like the best champions at the time. And yeah, they may have not fought the best opponent, but these were Hall of Fame fighters fighting on the undercard of a Mike Tyson fight, and you just don't get that anymore.
When it comes to pay-per-view, Aaron makes the point that, Golden Boy is putting, guys in who don't have the odds to beat their opponent. Well, they are putting in named fighters, and they're putting in competitive main events as well. So people on the Mayweather card, comparably, are going to see Adrian Broner. They're going to see Amir Khan. They're going to see
that's along those lines of what needs to happen. And I know that Top Rank wanted to showcase some other fighters. One of the fights fell through as well. The guy that was going to fight Beltran, and that probably would have been a better fight. Jesse Vargas won a title, and I know they're trying to establish him, but just the level of pay-per-view cards has diminished. And one pay-per-view card that they're promising to be the card of the year is Canelo Alvarez against Erislan de Lara, a big fight that was announced this past weekend, and a very interesting fight to pick. I mean, I know there's going to be people picking Canelo, there's going to be people picking Lara. Right now, I think that fight's a toss-up. I mean, these are two fighters in their prime fighting each other, probably the two best fighters at 154, not named Floyd Mayweather Jr.
I agree 100%. And a lot of people for a period of time have wanted to give Canelo Alvarez all kinds of crap for not fighting the big names, but
we used to.
And
not anymore.
In my estimation, there is nobody more eager to fight the best competition in the sport than Canelo Alvarez. I mean, if you think about, at one point, yes, he was fighting Shane Mosley past his prime, fighting Kermit Cintron past his prime, guys like that. But then he was trying to chase the fight with Paul Williams, a fight with Miguel Cotto, a fight with Victor Ortiz. Fights that all three times those guys who are the next in line, a big name, lose. So I think this is a great move.
And remember when he fought Jose Cito Lopez, I mean, it was just a series of unfortunate events, the Paul Williams accident, the James Kirkland injury. It was one thing after another. Right. He ends up fighting Jose Cito Lopez, who's a good fighter, but
he's a junior welterweight at best.
Through no fault of Canelo, he ends up fighting Jose Cito, and you're absolutely right about Canelo and the level of opponent he's been facing lately. And a lot of people forget that the guy started fighting at 15 years old, and as was the case with a lot of these Mexican fighters, so they went building their record slowly but surely, and then at some point started fighting the best fighters. Look up Julio Cesar Chavez on BoxRec. Look how long it took for him to start fighting some of the best in boxing. Marco Antonio Barrera, it took him 20-something fights. Canelo Alvarez is, 24 years old?
Not even. I think he's 23
Or he's still 23.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a kid.
He could have a trilogy with Floyd Mayweather and be 25 by the time it's done.
Exactly.
I mean, think about that.
And he looked sharp against Angulo. I love the way he looked against Angulo, and I think that was the best Canelo we're gonna see. He was quick on his feet, quick with his hands, and he's gonna need that against Lara, because Lara, I remember saying that when everybody defected, all the Cubans, every single Cuban that defected,
said this, yeah.
I think Erislan de Lara was the most pro-ready of all of them. He has a good jab. He could box. He could punch when need be, and he's exciting to watch. And I think he's the best. Him, Canelo are the best at 154, other than Floyd, and it's just gonna be such a good fight. I can't wait to the 12th of July.
It's a great fight for fight fans, and I hope that an opponent like Lara does also get a little bit of mass appeal. If not, then the undercard is apparently something Richard Schaefer is saying will do that. If I had gun to my head, make a prediction right now, I would say the only thing that prevents me from unilaterally saying Erislandy Lara is the fact that he's been prone to uneven performances. He's got all the skills in the world, really, perhaps on par with anybody not named Mayweather or Rigondeaux. But the problem is he turns in uneven performances against guys like
Martirosyan,
Carlos Molina, and even to a lesser extent Alfredo Angulo. Who he put himself in a position to get hurt badly twice. And with the footwork and defensive skills and boxing skills that Lara has, I don't feel like that's a guy that you should be getting caught when you're fighting a guy like Alfredo Angulo. So will he get up for a fight with Alvarez? Yeah, it's a fight he's been asking for, it seems like, ever since he entered the 154-pound rank. And if an Erislandy Lara is 100% prepared, I think it's going to be a really tough fight for Alvarez. But Alvarez, with the exception of Mayweather, has shown up and proven me wrong in every single fight.
He looked absolutely phenomenal against Alfredo Angulo. I mean, I know it's a slow Angulo, damaged Angulo. He didn't really.
Angulo who hurt
he did almost knock out Erislandy Lara, and like you said, for every performance he has, like against Austin Trout, he's had the one against Martirosyan, but the last performance was Austin Trout, and it was probably the best performance of his career.
Yeah, he looked amazing, and it's weird. That's almost a fight that people forget happened.
It was so one-sided.
It was just completely,
I mean, I was shocked. I expected a really close fight, and he schooled him. But it should be a great fight. The one thing that really surprises me about the whole thing is that the fight's gonna take place on the Saturday before the World Cup final. So as far as media coverage, I don't know how that's going to affect it, but I know that in a way it's probably smart marketing if you're just looking at it from pay-per-view numbers, because there's going to be eager fans who are probably gearing up for the World Cup the next day. Hey, why don't we watch the Canelo fight tonight?
Hey,
since Mexico isn't going to be in the World Cup final, not even close. But really quick, I know we got only a couple minutes left. This weekend, Shumenov against Bernard Hopkins. And I told you something, and you came back with a great answer before we started. I said that Shumenov's, if you look at his record, he's fought the who's who of everybody who was somebody 15 years ago. Like Joppy and Montel Griffin and Byron Mitchell and all these guys. And you said...
including Bernard Hopkins.
But at least Bernard Hopkins could still fight. Quick prediction, I'm not ready to give up on Hopkins yet. I think he wins another fight.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, anybody not named Chad Dawson, which feels ironic to say now, I think is going to be in for a long night against Bernard Hopkins. I mean, he's still that good. He's cagey. Everybody knows that they're going to be in for a rough fight, and they still can't hang when they're in the ring. I just don't see a scenario outside of that. I think he wins.
And I'll answer this for you. Kid Chocolate, he wins. How about Porter and Malignaggi? Malignaggi?
I'm going with the Magic Man, the Twitter King.
Toss-up. I think Malignaggi's, I don't know if Malignaggi's experience gets it, but it should be a good fight. But next episode of Boxing During Dinner, we'll break down my down on Mayweather. Right here, we'll probably be wearing the same clothes, so don't be alarmed,
We did shower.
Not together.